So yeah, Top Boy's back, and episode one. I feel like saying like it really confused me. Just the whole episodes. Um, but I spoke to a mate of mine, and he was saying that basically it's to do with the whole summer house and trying to differentiate it. So there was a way that people could know what the new Top Boy is and what the old Top Boy was. So the Channel 4 production compared to the Netflix production. So that's the main difference there. Oh my gosh, the opening. So literally, like from the start, we're just thrown right into the streets, right into the ends, and they painted that picture. I thought so well in terms of using characters that we knew very well from the first season, some introducing some new characters, and obviously the whole aspect where even the BMX was just thrown to one side. I thought that was really interesting. The Turks, of course, being introduced to us, and I say that in no uncertain terms because that's what they're referred to in the program as. And my gosh, yeah, like instantly there's that whole them against us type thing. And then, oh wow, this is where I felt like the Drake money or the money that Netflix had clearly invested in it, seemed to come in. And that was when we were taken off to Jamaica. The whole different setting. Kingston, Jamaica. Like they just put that out there, and it's interesting because speaking to a few people, I know some people were like quite confused by it all, but for me, it was just like the best move that I felt they could make at this point of Top Boy, and it kind of reminded me of Narcos in the way that the plush greenery of Jamaica and obviously the dance hall. We were just thrown in right at the deep end. It was dance hall, guys with the flames being put out there, people with the dancing and the music. I thought all painted a great picture of where we were at. And who do we see but Duchesne, who is just classic Duchesne. So obviously he's like just doing his thing over there in Jamaica. The guy asked for the selfie, which I thought was really clever because that already paints a kind of hierarchical picture in terms of how highly or how highly we think of Duchesne as a character. And he's done moves, but he's the guy that we're always rooting for. At least I felt like to be rooting for throughout the first two seasons, even though he's in that criminal world. You can definitely see his code of honor and his code of conduct, particularly in the way that he dealt with Sully in the previous season. And we're introduced to Duchesne, I think, at various aspects. Like I felt like with Jamaica, I thought the whole use of Sugar and the way that Sugar as a character was introduced to us in this first episode, in terms of we didn't see him for ages, and then we see him, and we see him in the prison, and we're taken on into this kind of atmospheric, dark world that the prison shows us. So the whole mise en scène of this episode, the darkness. Like if you see when Duchesne was first in the prison, till then when he comes out of the prison, you see this kind of the dark, and you see the light, and I think that's really interesting. And the way that the producers have played around with that throughout all of Top Boy, but obviously this episode and the very different what you might say settings that we went on. I think also the introduction of another group of youngsters that ultimately this episode, spoiler alert here, dealt with the Turks in terms of the way that went down, the seriousness of that nature, and just how we see them as at this stage. Like I'm only one episode in. I've seen the last two seasons, but it seemed to me like they're brothers, and that somehow there's not a parental influence in their life as such in the kind of traditional way, a mom, a dad, an uncle, an aunt. It was like them kind of bringing up themselves. And them obviously making the deal on the sideline on the side of Leighton, which I think is another character we were introduced to take over that group. And like I say, I just think we've got different areas, different interests here, and I think they've set it up so well this first episode. Just going back to Jamaica for a minute as well, like, and obviously the scenes with Deshane and his cousin, and the police, and I thought again a scene that was really, really done well. So this is like the ending or the end scene, and the way that the police, were kind of introduced, and we didn't know. Obviously, we're taught to trust the police as an authority, and you could see here that there was a very, guess you might say, transient line between good and bad, and how influence plays a picture in how we see these authority figures. I thought that was like really clever. And then we see the survival aspect. So, obviously we kind of feel like Deshane isn't gonna go this early, but you never know. You never know, and it seemed to turn out that way. And of course, there was this great as well. Just going back, I keep going back and forward, but in the prison there was this wonderful two-shot of Deshane and Sugar when after they had spoken, and you just kind of got the feeling that they're on the same page. So that putting them in the same shot definitely carried over, and it's like, yes, they are together now. They are on the same page, and I think from a framing point of view, from a technical point of view, that was something that was done very well. Great music throughout this whole episode. There wasn't a part of the episode that I felt like I need to pick up my phone or I need to look at something else or some distraction. It was just all good. I just need to take a moment just to big up the acting levels. I thought were extremely high throughout the episode, particularly from the younger actors, which is something that Top Boy does expertly. Big credit to the directors for working with people and giving people that freedom to, and picking the right people. Big up the casters and the casting people for casters. Yeah, big up the casting crew for what they've done, because I think, like, again, they've so far so good. I don't want to go getting too ahead of myself. I'm only one episode in, but yeah, I just want to say as well, just going back to the ending of this episode, how much I loved the way that we got this wonderful sweeping shot with a drone just kind of going up, showing us this sumptuous landscape of Jamaica, and also the predicament that Deshane is now in. I think I definitely got a feeling of that, and I think the music really painted a picture for that. And I thought that was great. Twists and turns all the way through, the whole post office being shut, and then of course it leading to Sugar refers to him as his loyal dog, but I can't remember his name now. Feel free to let me know in the comments. But just that character, I'm a bit gutted he's not in it a bit more, because he gave me a lot of entertainment, and generally speaking, he had to go. I can see why Deshane had to do what he did in terms of a narrative and in terms of storyline. And who knows, maybe we're not going to go back to Jamaica as much in the future episodes. That's kind of what I'm thinking at this stage. And I'm completely trying deliberately not to know and not to find out about what's happening, so I can do an episode by episode breakdown. So I would rate this first episode very highly. I think on my reaction video prior, I gave it like the best thing I've seen in terms of dramatic productions that come from the street. And I've not changed my mind. I've really sat on it now for a couple of days, watched it a few times, and I still class it as being, 10 out of 10 television for me. And I would, all right, so, I'll give it, what I'll give it after thinking about it is a 9.2, right? With room, obviously, for other areas. But I feel like even a 9.2 is really harsh. But my gut is a 10. I really enjoyed it, and I'd like to do this kind of episode by episode breakdown. So feel free to stick with me, watch them. I think Netflix rates it as being 15, so obviously, stick with that. There are some scenes of truthful violence and bad language. It's worth me saying that, especially because I know I've got some younger followers on here, and yeah, really enjoying it. Can't wait for episode 2. So I'll do a full review on that when that, of course, comes out.